What's up, guys? Time for another video
of the FGC on NBC. What's old is new again.
I'm gonna talk about some topics since the game is in before I let the game collect dust again, because I can see I made those few videos recently, and again, motherfuckers just changing their argument. No, that's not right. We're gonna change our argument. And you know, at this point, I see in the videos that in the comments and discords, people are like, "Oh, did you know we're gonna say Clayton hates transgender people? Don't watch the videos." So if you're going to lying about that shit again, you already know I fucking beat you guys again. Feel lucky that I even played a game so you can make content on it, because obviously you guys, where the fuck would you be? And that's a fact. So if you're making that shit up again, obviously that's just proof I've won this. You changed the argument multiple times and I won. But anyway, remember, if you like these videos, like, subscribe, comment, whatever. But what am I going to talk about today? What's old is new again, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle, but talk about some stuff I've talked about before. And it's why Vegito, serendipitously, is actually the best and the worst character in Dragon Ball FighterZ. He is the perfect character for Dragon Ball FighterZ. And I'm going to talk about that. And that's serendipitously. Obviously, I don't think Vegito, Vegito isn't exactly how I would have done him. You know, I would have liked some more laser sword moves. I would have liked, you know, all kicks, that kind of thing. I would have liked some different kind of moves. But I think from a gameplay perspective, actually serendipitously, he is, to me, actually a extremely interesting character. Potentially the most perfect Dragon Ball FighterZ character. I also like Krillin from a kind of design philosophy as well. But serendipitously, let's talk about this. Why is he the greatest and the worst character? We're going to talk about this all in one. And I'm going to come at this from every different angle, right? Now, one of the things I've said is before, when the game is brand new, you need to be able to have characters that can show off your game. Why would you play Dragon Ball FighterZ over another game? There has to be something that you get in this game that you don't get in other games. And one of the things I talked about was character archetypes. You have a Fireball Dragon Punch character. You have a Throw character, whatever it might be. Now in this game, because of fireballs and reflecting and homing dashing, you know, fireballs reflecting, blah, 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 you also have a new potential character archetype. You have the character that focuses on that new aspect, because that new dynamic and aspect or perspective of what a fighting game can be is only possible in a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. It can't be, you can't have Ryu homing, dashing, and fireball and everything like this. So again, if we just look at simple ideas, again, like this, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Like boom, 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 boom. You know, whatever you're doing, if you were to look at a regular game, you're like, well, what the fuck? This makes no fucking sense. This can't be a Street Fighter game, even in a Marvel game, whatever it might be. This doesn't make sense. But of course, it's weakened and it's made less real because of things like reflecting and homing dashing through Fireball, right? Isn't that, and that's why one of the reasons that Vegito is a perfect character, because he's a perfect archetypical new character that is only possible in your game. Any other game, if you had a character that just was doing this kind of shit, you know, the whole time, like, you're like, well, that's fucking cheap. But then you know, oh, wait a second, that's not real because of all the different dynamics of the game. So that's a positive. But then you get into the bad thing. What is the worst part about this? And why I talk, and I'm going to keep going back and forth with this. Why is Vegito the most perfect character in this game? And he shows off the best thing and the worst thing. Because of the block damage problem. I don't care about fucking Jimmy's complaining about block damage. I don't care. You're not capable of having a real conversation. Just stop it, right? Vegito. This would make sense. You know what I mean? Because this shows off the whole block damage idea. But this game doesn't have block damage. And actually, I skipped ahead of myself. I'm sorry. One of the things I should mention about Vegito too, obviously, is look at a character like this. Look how slow his low is. Normally, in any other fighting game, you would look at that and you'd be like, "Wow, that's ridiculous." This is an air dashing game. This is not good. And a game with like high low boom boom, next time boom boom boom, what? An air dash boom boom. That's stupid. But in a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, when you actually have shit like this, well, you wouldn't want that to be too fast, maybe necessarily, right? Boom, high low, whatever it might be. Boom, next time high low, boom boom. I mean, that's obviously really slow. But, and you know, normally I would say in any other fighting game, I would say that is absolutely terrible. To have a character where you do not have a fast low attack, that's awful. But for a character like Vegito, he is a perfect example to throw that new spin on a character because of just how potentially oppressive this kind of pressure could be, right? You know, whatever you're doing, you know, even zoning, whatever it might be, you're like, wow, okay, I can see why this character doesn't have a real low because he's chipping away. So there again, I'm getting at the idea, a perfect character that shows off why he's awesome and why this game is bad. Because you can see the aspects of the character that he should be able to, dynamic of the game he should be able to abuse, right? This should be abusive, or like the idea, it should be a clear strength and a weakness, right? And so not only then from this strength and this weakness, what are we seeing here? To actually get out of this, even though we have a character with such a terrible mix-up, to get out of this, we have to use the game. We have to use the game system to get out of this. Because if we don't get out of this, it doesn't matter that Vegito has no mix-up. Because block damage is making you have to eventually do something. And you have to use the actual mechanics of the game to combat this. He is now the new archetypical character of a fighting game. If you want a character like Vegito, you can only get him in a game like this, right? Correct? And by watching a character like Vegito being played, he automatically teaches the audience what the game is about, right? By watching the narrative of the story of the game. And you want characters that are easily digestible. So he's a potentially easily digestible character, right? I mean, do you get what I'm getting at? Why he's the perfect character and the best and the worst character in the game, in a sense? If we look at things again like this, he also potentially has more little quirks of the game. He has another depth of the layer of the character, right, that also shows off the game as well. If we think about stuff like this, if you remember I talked about when you stagger stuff like this, you can't reflect out of that and homing dash out of that. If you watch those glitch videos, how you do it, right? Normally fireballs and everything like that, you can reflect and homing dash out of. But if you stagger when you do it and it just barely does not combo, then the guy cannot reflect and homing dash out of it. Watch the videos how I show how to do it, right? So we have him again. He's teaching you little nuances about the game. Normally the characters, you know, fireballs, you can always reflect and homing dash through it, but you're like, wait, Vegito actually has a small little hiccup or bug in the game that makes it so you can't do that. And that's interesting when there's another layer of depth to the game. And then if we were to even use something like this, we talk about the priority system of the game, right? You know what I mean? It's not necessarily just the hitboxes, you know what I mean? If I do a medium, it always beats a low. So say if we're doing something like this, let's put those two ideas together. So I'm going to do then, if I just do that, remember you can do that. So this next fireball, the guy can't homing dash or reflect out of it the same, right? Okay? I don't know if I spaced it right. Oh, I did. 0. And it's at 0. Do you see what I mean? So look at something just happen here. We made the fireballs unreflectable, unhoming dashable, whatever. You know, we changed how you can do it. It's still technically possible in a sense, but not in the same way anymore. You can't just, you know, the fireball hit me and I can reflect and homing dash out of it, whatever. But even just a simple string like that, he has simple strings that add two ideas to the game through a little bug and a system quirk, right? We've used it sorry, what am I doing? Fireballs like boom. Oh, I fucked it up that time, but boom. Anyway, like that. And so then boom, normally when you're at this range, right, nothing is going to hit, right? But then if the guy does a jab, even though their jab is faster, boom, 0. Look at that spacing. I don't even fucking play this game. 0. Even though Vegito is at, you know, the disadvantage here because of the priority system, that's another place in the match that you're like, wow, Vegito is teaching me about the game. That priority system, like, why is the character just jabbing and I'm just running into the attack and I'm being hit? Because Vegito actually has setups using stuff like making your moves unreflectable and everything like that, that then step by step teach the player about the game. I mean, watch those videos when I talk about how Guilty Gear went from surviving as a series to succeeding because Soul as a character finally taught the audience step by step how Guilty Gear can be played from mechanically speaking as well. He was a great archetypical character for Guilty Gear because he had to use every system mechanic for his idea of a character to work. And then while the idea, what he was actually doing was a very easily digestible thing because it's basically a Street Fighter mix-up. Anyway. So let's take this a step further, though. Even again, we go back to the best and the worst thing about this character. This stuff is not real, right? Oops, sorry, forgot what I'm doing. Boom, boom. This stuff would not be possible in any other game, right? Blah, blah, blah. But of course, there's this layer to this that, you know, people got really butthurt. And go watch the videos. Motherfuckers can lie all they want. They literally, people making multiple videos trying to say why I was wrong, just changing your argument. Sorry, you changing your argument doesn't make you right. And even after changing the argument multiple times, and you see people in Discord, you know, at this point, I proved you guys so many wrong so many times. It's like, oh, we think, can you imagine Clayton has videos on his YouTube saying he hates transgender? Don't actually look it up, though. Just trust me. You admitted that. That's fucking admitting that you guys know what the fuck you're talking about. That's the kind of bullshit you have to play. But let's look at that vanish install. Is that not another interesting layer to this game that teaches you something about it? But again, this is why I'm talking about Vegito as the perfect character, because watch this, right? So if we do this, hopefully I have it recorded. Boom, boom, boom. He vanished, installed it, right? So I didn't do anything. This is a recording. Boom, blocked it. Boom, blah, 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 right? You're like, okay, but if you vanish install it, boom. And you're like, wow, what an interesting layer. Now, of course, I've said if you watch my videos how I would change Vegito, I think even for what this is, I mean, I do think a lot of Vegito. Of course, there's a lot of things I would change about the game. I even think with these kind of option selects, vanish and stuff, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know, fuck my titties, dude. I'll call it whatever I want. Not like you motherfuckers are finding it. So, even with all these, you know, supplemental kind of strategies to make it more real, I still think it's too slow. But even if we're thinking about this, so let's think about what I just did here. We think about kind of a strategy because, you know, of course nothing is real, but the idea is how can we make it even more real? How can we make it as real as possible that it becomes a legitimate strategy? So, you know, if Vegito's doing whatever, boom, and he does that, whatever it might be, whatever attack it is, the opponent has to think, well, what's coming next? Maybe he's going to homie dash. You know, maybe he's going to go boom, boom. He's flying out there. You know what I mean? Maybe he does nothing. Maybe he calls an assist. But, you know, you got to try to respect your opponent a little bit, right? But maybe sometimes he does do that. And if you recall, and let me just show this one more time, just because people think like I faked this shit. Boom, boom. It's recorded. Nothing happened. But if I try to vanish out of it, or homie dash, boom, he automatically hits me. So I want to show here two things. Do you see that counter? This is, again, showing one of the greatest and worst things about this game. Again, let's watch this again. Boom, counter hit. And again, I can't assist, I can't tag in, because if you've actually played the game, I love how there was a guy that's saying, oh, I can't believe Clayton didn't actually test anything. Actually, you didn't test everything. Because if you'd actually see, do we need to put my commands on again? Sorry, where is this? Info display, right? I'm trying to tag. It won't let me. You see, it would not let me, even though I was trying, because of the way the game works off of, you know, being attacked like that and the startup of the homie dash. So you can't even do that anyway. So the fact that people said that's not real, Clayton didn't do his homework, he doesn't even know that's not real. Did you fucking try? Of course you didn't. You questioning me about a video game. The audacity of so many of these fucking video games. Where do you think the knowledge came from? It certainly wasn't you. But the whole idea was show off that, man, can you imagine this game has so many fundamental flaws? That should be something awesome, that, wow, this character, there's another depth of layers to this strategy. Boom, boom, he's doing whatever, and he vanished and stalled, and then the guy tried to get out of it, and he got to counter it. Now, if it was a quotation marks real game in the counter hit, you know what should have happened? The guy should have bounced off the wall, and then it should boom, 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 Banshee Blast Link, whatever. I should have gotten a real combo off of it for punishing a super dash like that, for thinking the game a step ahead. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be even showing off a greater advanced strategy to the game? But unfortunately, again, while I'm talking about Vegito is the perfect character, because he shows off, there are so many, this character, even though he's not how I would have done him, when you think about him, he has a lot of fucking potential of stuff that you could have done. And let me just set this to here too, just to like even really drive this home, right? Because imagine this, so I'm gonna set, so hopefully you can see, I'm just trying to block. Oh, sorry. Let me hold back. I was holding down back, but you might not believe me, right? So remember, because if you just do this, you can't even block it. So do you see what I'm saying? Do you see why that vanish install is actually really cool? Look at this. This is me. This is not even me reacting to it. This is just me guessing. So this isn't even necessarily that realistic per se. I'm actually making it harder for myself. But just imagine this. I know he's going to do it, obviously, right? But I know he's going to do it. I'm just mashing. He can't even block it. But because if you vanish install in that kind of situation, you're safe. Not only would you be safe, but then if you were to vanish and punch them, you get a combo. Do you see that this is like another depth of a layer? It's like, wow, look at all these depths of layers to this character. There is no other character like this in any fighting game. This kind of character is not possible in any other fighting game besides Dragon Ball FighterZ. Do you get what I'm getting at? Like, what a way to sell your game. It's like, look at these kind of strategies. This isn't just simple like, oh, boom, 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 boom. This isn't just simple boom, boom. This isn't just simple homing dash reflecting kind of teaching stuff. This isn't just simple block damage kind of stuff. You're like, wow, look at the fucking layers here. Step by step by step. I am learning about the game, and I'm even seeing it from a more complex standpoint now of what is possible, right? But at the same time, again, why I say he's the best, he's the perfect character and the worst character, because look, then you're seeing like, wow, what could be, right? And again, you would have to, some of this stuff, like I said, if I was making the game, it needs to be sped up a little bit. You need to fiddle with the frame data a little bit, because some of it's just, you know, it's not real enough, and you would, without making it totally real for it to be perfect, let's say. But even stuff like, you know, talk about his throw and shit like that. You know what I mean? Why you talk about character like, wow, this game has such little kind of actual tech options, or like, you know what I mean? I really don't like how techs are so invincible to throws. There should be a little bit more. Like, you're like, wow, this character is one of the few characters that should be able to actually have an idea of sort of like tech traps or whatever like that. He's perfect for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't worry that, you know, don't worry that this is a novelty in this game. Don't worry that it would be a novelty in the game that a character could actually throw a person teching, that could actually, quotation marks, drop a combo and go for something. Because this character doesn't have real mix-up. But you're giving him other attributes, but then again, the perfect character, because you're like, oh, well, fuck, teching is just too invincible to throws. It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean? You talk about my counter. Hopefully I did this right. You're like, oh, you know, so like that's like, oh, so he has a counter. It's like, well, the counter is not because of video games the way they are now. It's like, wow. So I have a counter that you can vanish, which is, you know, it's like, okay, I guess you can vanish it. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's not even instant. Don't you think it could at least be, you know, frame one instant then? Do you know what I mean? So, but you're like, no. We don't want moves, you know, we don't want like a DP to be frame one invincible or something like that, generally speaking, because, you know, we just don't like that. We don't want people complaining about DPs. You know, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, wow, you're giving this character so many, there's so much fucking potential here to show off your game. And it's just like, it's like, yeah, dude, it's not there. But that's why it's frustrating, because you can see all the ideas are there for a character like this. Whether it be something simple like, oh man, this is crazy. It's like, why is that? You're like, right when a person sees it, like, wow, that looks cheap. Why is this not cheap? Clayton, why is this not cheap, teacher? Mr. Sensei, teacher. And you're like, oh, because you have like, this character is just doing this. Why is this not cheap? You're telling me it's because he doesn't have a high-low mix-up, but look at all this block damage. Like, how do I get through this? It's like, oh, well, to get through this, you actually learn the game. And it's like, oh, this stuff isn't in Street Fighter. And then, oh, you're like, okay, that's the depth, that's the layer to it. And then you talk about, oh, there's vanish installing. Then when you try to get through, it's like, oh, so there's another fucking layer to it. And not only is there this layer to it, it's not something stupid like when you get counter hit, you don't actually get a real punish off it. And you're like, oh man, there's so many layers to this. And like, well, what are some other ways that I can try to combat? Then you can't homing dash from reflector. It's like, wow, this character is actually not possible in any other game. He's only possible in this game. He's fucking fantastic. He's very fucking well thought out. That's why I think Vegito is, I feel like there was another example I wanted to give, but that's why I feel like Vegito is such a perfect example. Oh, and of course, there's certain things too. He has a little bit of, video games are so pre-planned nowadays too, you know what I mean? Video games are so pre-planned with these set strings and everything, set combos, but then look at a character like the Banshee Blast just itself is a versatile move. It's a versatile move in a very pre-planned game, right? I mean, it's a versatile move in a pre-planned game. And then you have stuff like, oh, well, if I hit a straight Banshee Blast, then I can actually hit a sassy kick. That's kind of, it's a little interesting for this game, isn't it? You know, when you hit like straight Banshee Blast to like sassy, stuff like that. It's like, wow, he is like he's a little bit free-flowing for this game even. Even as constricted as this game is, he's kind of a free-flowing character. That's kind of interesting, right? He covers all aspects while still having a fundamental weakness, a weakness that should not be possible in any other game. But it's not possible in your game. So again, that's why I say Vegito. And there's other characters too. I think Krillin is a fundamentally, potentially interesting character as well. And again, when I've talked about, I've changed other characters. I think it's important for, I would fiddle with Goku a bit to show how I would make him show off the more fundamental aspects, potential of the game as well. But again, look at the character. From every angle, this character is, again, he's not exactly how I would have done. Oh, this is another thing too, of course, is fucking boom. It's like, well, fuck, you have a character that has very weak lows, but it's like, oh, but maybe, and you know what, maybe just make it like, maybe it's a single just frame. It's a just frame and he gets to throw you. And there's going to be someone in the comments like, oh, well, you can do that with assist. Yeah, I know you can do that with assist, which also gets to actually another point as well that, you know what? Look at this character too. Is he not the perfect example of a character that shows off the idea of this character has potential great synergy with his supers, right? Fast supers, tag teaming out. Wow. This is a character that has great synergy in a tag team game. But then you have a game that discourages synergy. Isn't that funny that it's hypocritical like that? You have a game that actually discourages synergy with supers and all this other kind of stuff that they don't want it. But when you actually go to the tutorial mode, is there not in the tutorial mode, there's something that's like, well, when you homie dash at a guy, you want to call an assist while you do it. Is there not literally a tutorial part of this in the game? It's like, well, to get better mix-ups, you do boom, boom, then you call your assist, and then you go for whatever it is, right? Isn't there something like that in this game? Legitimately. And it's like, so you literally have the game is telling your game is so constrictive and restrictive that we're telling you we want you to use your assist to actually get real mix-ups. We want you to use synergy, but then like, we want you to use synergy, but no, you can only use synergy how we want it. Vegito is another character that shows that off too. He shows off like every aspect of what this game can be in a sense, right? Whether it be from a simple narrative standpoint of teaching someone playing the game to potentially more complicated things like that vanish install and all that kind of stuff, right? To awkward glitches of staggering so you can't reflect and homing dash out of it anymore, showing off a little weird glitch in the game. All this kind of stuff. It's all there. But because the game is so fundamentally flawed from all these aspects, it doesn't work. But there's a lot of potential there, and I think it's interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go let the game collect dust now. But I guess since before I might as well talk about this.
What's all this new again on the FGC on NBC?
And if you like these videos, like, sub, silly, comment, support the channel. Help me actually expose these guys because, now my channel's been getting flagged for sex again all for a while now. So I'm still messaging YouTube about that to get this fixed. Like I said, these dudes are ridiculous. But I got to get my YouTube approved again for all this stuff. It's retarded. But anyway, the end.